One summer, my family and I decided to go on a camping trip. We found a beautiful spot near a lake surrounded by tall trees. The weather was warm and inviting, and I was excited for days filled with outdoor adventures. During the day, we would go hiking, swimming, and have picnics by the lake. It was all fun and games, enjoying the beauty of nature. But as the sun set and the darkness fell, things took a creepy turn. One evening, we were sitting around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. I noticed that the atmosphere around us has changed. The sounds of the forest became eerily quiet, as if nature itself held its breath. I brushed off the unease, thinking it was just my imagination. But then, I heard it. A low growl in the distance. It sent shivers down my spine. I looked around, but I couldn't see anything out of the ordinary. Still, the growling continued, growing louder and closer. My parents and siblings noticed it too, and we all exchanged worried glances. We decided it would be best to stay close together and keep the fire going. As we huddled together, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Suddenly, we heard branches snapping nearby. Something was approaching our campsite. The sound was getting closer and closer, and we could feel the ground vibrating beneath our feet. Fear gripped us as we prepared for whatever was coming. And then, out of the darkness, emerged a large black bear. Its massive figure loomed before us, its eyes fixed on our food. We froze, not knowing what to do. My dad slowly stood up and started making loud noises, trying to scare the bear away. Miraculously, it worked. The bear turned and disappeared into the night. We let out a collective sigh of relief, but our hearts were still racing. We realized how dangerous the situation could have been if the bear had decided to attack. From that moment on, we became extra cautious, storing our food properly and keeping a watchful eye on our surroundings. Another scary encounter happened a few days later. It was nighttime, and we were getting ready to sleep in our tents. As I crawled into my sleeping bag, I noticed a strange sound coming from outside. It was a scratching noise, like something trying to claw its way into the tent. I listened intently, my heart pounding in my chest. The scratching continued, growing louder and more persistent. Panic filled me as I imagined what could be lurking just inches away from me. I mustered the courage to unzip the tent and peek outside. To my horror, I saw a pair of glowing eyes staring back at me. It was a raccoon, rummaging through our food bags. I quickly closed the tent and alerted my parents. We chased the raccoon away, but the incident left us shaken. We realized the importance of keeping our food secure and not attracting wildlife to our campsite. Despite these scary experiences, we didn't let fear ruin our summer adventure. We continued to explore the great outdoors, but with a newfound respect for nature's power and unpredictability. It taught us the importance of being prepared, staying vigilant, and respecting the wildlife around us. Looking back, the encounters may have been terrifying at the time, but they also served as reminders of the raw beauty and untamed nature of the world we live in. They made our summer experience all the more memorable, teaching us valuable lessons that we carry with us to this day. One summer, my family and I decided to go on a vacation to a remote cabin in the woods. We were excited to escape the city and enjoy the beauty of the nature. Little did we know that our summer adventure would turn into a spine-chilling experience. We arrived at the cabin and settled in. The weather was warm, and the surrounding forest seemed peaceful. During the day, we explored the area, taking in the sights and sounds of the wilderness. It was a perfect summer getaway. As the sun began to set, we gathered around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. The crackling flames provided a sense of comfort, casting a warm glow on our faces. But as the night grew, an unsettling feeling started to creep in. We noticed strange noises coming from the woods. The rustling of leaves, the snapping of twigs. It was as if someone or something was lurking in the shadows. We tried to dismiss it as animals or the wind, but the hairs on the back of our necks stood on end. One evening, while we were sitting outside, we heard a blood-curdling scream coming from deep within the forest. It pierced through the silence, sending chills down our spines. We exchanged fearful glances, unsure of what could have made such a terrifying sound. As the nights went on, the feeling of being watched became more intense. We would often catch glimpses of shadowy figures darting between the trees. Every time we turned to look, they vanished into thin air. It was as if the forest itself was playing tricks on our minds. One night, we heard heavy footsteps outside the cabin. They were slow and deliberate, echoing through the silence. Fear gripped us as we huddled together, listening to the approaching sounds. The footsteps stopped just outside the door, and we held our breath, praying that whatever was out there would just go away. But instead, a loud banging on the door shattered the silence. The force was so powerful that the door shook on its hinges. Panic consumed us as we realized that someone or something was trying to break in. We rushed to lock all the windows and barricaded ourselves inside, hoping to keep whatever it was out. The banging continued for what felt like an eternity, the sound reverberating through the cabin. We feared that the door would give way at any moment. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the banging stopped. The cabin fell into an eerie silence, and we were left trembling in fear. The next morning, we decided it was time to leave. The sense of danger was too strong, and we couldn't bear the thought of another night in that unsettling place. We packed our things, leaving behind the memories of that terrifying summer experience. To this day, we can't explain what we encountered in the woods that summer. The fear and unease we felt still haunt us, a reminder that sometimes the beauty of nature can hide darker secrets. We learned the importance of trusting our instincts and staying safe, even in the midst of summer adventures. My name is Jake, and I'm 18 years old. Every summer, my family and I travel to different beaches for our vacation. We love the warm sand between our toes and the sound of crashing waves. It's always a time filled with joy and relaxation. Little did I know that one summer, my peaceful vacation would turn into a nightmare. After a fun-filled day at the beach, we returned to our rental house. It was a cozy place with a view of the ocean. As night fell, I lay in my bed, tired from the day's activities. Just as I was about to drift to sleep, I heard a strange noise coming from downstairs. It was a creaking sound, like someone was walking around the house. My heart started pounding, and I quietly got out of bed. I tiptoed to the top of the stairs, peering down to see what was happening. My blood ran cold as I saw a figure moving inside the house. Fear gripped me, and I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. There was a man, a stranger, right there in our home. I quickly retreated back to my room, my mind racing. Should I wake my parents? Should I call the police? I didn't know what to do. I knew I had to act quickly and quietly. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone and dialed 911. The operator answered, and I whispered my desperate plea for help. The operator assured me that the police would be on their way. I tried to remain calm as she asked me questions about our location and the intruder's description. It felt like an eternity as I waited, each passing second amplifying my fear. Finally, I heard the comforting sound of sirens in the distance, growing louder as they approached our house. The police arrived swiftly, with their presence bringing a sense of relief. I heard them shouting downstairs, demanding the intruder to surrender. The whole house woke up in confusion and terror. My parents, my siblings, and I were scared, but we knew we were in good hands. Eventually, the commotion subsided, and the police informed us that they had apprehended the man. He had stolen some of our valuables, but thankfully no one was physically harmed. The police assured us that they would thoroughly investigate the incident. In the aftermath, we felt a mix of emotions, relief that the intruder was caught, and gratitude for swift response of the police. However, the experience left a lasting impact on me. I couldn't help but feel haunted by the invasion of our privacy and the violation of our senses of security. I couldn't shake off the feeling of vulnerability, but I determined not to let that fear dictate my life. Summer vacations would never be the same for me. The innocence and carefree spirit I once associated with were replaced by a lingering unease. However, I also gained a newfound appreciation for the strength and resilience of my family and the bravery of the police officers who protect us. While the memory of that terrifying night will always be with me, I refuse to let it define me. I choose to move forward, taking every precaution to create a safe environment for myself and my loved ones. And in doing so, I hope to regain the sense of peace and tranquility that summer vacations once brought.